No, I'm not going to say hello, I'm back again. Well, I have done now. But hey, yes, I'm back again. Okay. All right. What are we doing this week? Well, this question's been asked a few times before, to be honest, but I've never actually answered it via video because I briefly described the difference between change management of the organizational type and change management of the project technical type at the beginning of my project management and change management sessions that I'm delivering to the Project Management Institute chapters globally. But I've now decided to answer it for the sake of clarity and because I've been asked it several times before. Anyway, the question was asked by Martha Olwenyi, who is a results measurement consultant for the UN Capital Development Fund after my PMI Uganda session. And it goes simply, what is the difference between this CM, the one that I was speaking about, okay, and the one done when implementing projects and you make change requests? All right. In the single slide I mentioned earlier, I say change management in brackets project, i.e. managing change requests, ITIL, ITSM, is a process where project changes are identified, documented, analysed and decided on, approved or rejected. Change management in brackets of the organisational type is about managing the people side of change and is a structured approach to transitioning individuals, teams and organisations from a current state to a desired future state. And I've said that loads of times in previous videos as well, haven't I? Never mind. It always serves you well repeating things. The more you repeat something, the more people understand it. Now, I thought that description was very clear, but maybe not. So here we go with a somewhat more detailed reply, okay? On its surface, the term change management can seem somewhat broad and ambiguous, yet it holds highly specific meanings depending on how it's used within the enterprise. A simple Google search of change management will return over 1 billion hits, and will vary between the project and the people side concepts. But the question remains, what does the term change management actually mean anyway? It's important that professionals within the IT world or the project world understand the delineation between what's commonly referred to as business or organisational change management, or the people side of change, and IT change management as defined and governed by ITIL within the ITSM arena. ITIL is a globally recognised best practice methodology for IT service management that is used all over the world by leading organisations. ITIL ensures that IT services are aligned to the needs and support the goals of the business. As an example, it provides industry best practice for managing IT changes. It ensures standardised methods, processes and procedures are used for all changes. It facilitates the efficient and prompt handling of all changes and maintains the proper balance between the need for change and the potential detrimental impact of changes. But how is change defined in that context? I'll try. The addition, modification or removal of anything that could have an effect on an IT service in production. Let me go through a few. Number one, there's a standard change, a pre-approved change that is low risk, relatively common and follows a documented procedure. Do this, do that, do this, do that. Cool. Number two is a normal change, a change that follows a normal process, allowing at least 14 days of notice. And then number three, there's an emergency change. Oh my God, something's gone wrong. We need to change it. A change that must be introduced as soon as possible, which requires less than 14 days of notice. These are changes to things like hardware, software, database and physical assets. But they're not changes to things like user profiles, password resets, security scans, data update, virtual assets and interfaces. Got it? I hope so. I have. Well, I did. I had it before, but I've got it again. But I hope you have. Yeah? Was it explained simply enough? Yes? Good. Okay. All right. I've talked about the project side or the IT side of change management. What about the organisational side of change management? But I'm kind of thinking, do I really need to go into detail about this when it's entirely obvious to many people? But then again, if it was, I wouldn't have been asked the question so many times, would I? So yes, I think I do just need to close the loop, so to speak. For fear of boring you to death, because I've done this before, what I'm going to do is simply quote you the modules from my practical framework approach to change, which should give you a good idea of what change management of the organisational type is all about. Mind you, they say you need to repeat something 10 times before it sinks in, so that's my excuse for repeating it. First up, the 3 foundations of change, also covered in video number 64. Numero uno, sponsorship. Important. Identify and work with a sponsor to ensure commitment to the change initiative and to regularly engage with them in relation to their key responsibilities, visibility, building support, communication, managing resistance, setting priorities and celebrating success. Phew, that's a few things for a sponsor to do. Numero duo. Stakeholders. Identify key stakeholders and engage with them to understand their type of interest, their level of influence, reasons for supporting or even resisting the change initiative, and determining communication activities to win their support and help ensure project success. Numero tre, I think. I don't know what the Italian is for 3. Sorry. Implement a comprehensive communications plan that includes creating awareness, stakeholders to be communicated to, types of messages to be communicated, channels to be communicated through, and frequency of communication. Oh, by the way, that was communication, if you didn't guess it. Okay. Next up, you've got the foundations. Now we're going to go for the building blocks. First one, process change. Identify, understand and analyse the processes impacted by the change. Map the as is and critically examine each process. Devise the new to be processes. Undertake an impact assessment of the changes and gain agreement to the new processes prior to implementation. The second building block, organisation change. Evaluate reporting structures, working practices and management systems, review current roles and responsibilities and organisational structures, undertake organisational redesign and update, create and implement new roles and responsibilities and a new organisational structure. Whew. Closely followed by impact analysis. You've done your processes, you've done your organisational structure that has an impact on the business. So impact analysis is review future state functionality, identify and document change impact, assess the degree of change, is it small, medium or large, prepare an action plan to mitigate impact and work with users to address the main changes and implement them. All right, next one. Training management. Once you've done all these process changes and organisational changes, if you understand the impact, you need to think about training people. Review current goals and objectives, jobs and tasks, competencies and skills, identify specific training needs and design and implement a comprehensive training strategy to ensure that all those impacted by the change receive the necessary training in the new ways of working. Great. What about business readiness? How ready are people for the business? Design and implement a business readiness measurement mechanism to determine how those impacted by the change will have made all the preparations necessary to accept the deliverables of the project and begin operating with them. That's business readiness up until go live. Post go live, usage and adoption. Understand the main impact areas, define and agree appropriate metrics, create usage and adoption plan, implement a suitable measurement approach or application, and assign ownership and monitor metrics to achieve the agreed levels, whatever they may be. What about benefits? All those things that in the business case that they said, yes, this project is going to achieve. Benefits management, create a benefits plan and profile and define each benefit and disbenefit and track its realization throughout and after the change initiative to ensure that the original benefits as detailed in the business case, as I mentioned, have been or are being realized. And then finally, continuous improvement. Design and implement a continuous improvement program, plan, do, check and act, to regularly review changes to new ways of working brought about by the change initiative and implement efficiency improvements on a regular cyclical basis. Remember, change doesn't stop at go live. Yeah, people will always find different ways of doing things. So continuous improvement is the way to capture those things. Finally, not forgetting things like resistance management, dealing with organizational culture, changing mindsets and behaviors, and creating the right environment for change, which are all necessary for a successful implementation. Got it? Project change, change management, IT change, organizational change. Good. Ciao. See you again soon. And I always say that at the end of the video as well. I'll have to change what I say. I'll think about it. All right, bye.